right. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 30 of the Paddy the Yank podcast. Hello, Paddy. How the hell you doing today?
There must be some kind of way out of here,
said the man to the woman.
Said the joker to the thief.
Yeah.
I'm doing good, Yank.
You know what I started listening to? Pink Floyd.
Really?
Yeah, I got on a little Pink Floyd kick, but it lasted one day.
I mean, yeah,
but Pink Floyd's the shit, right?
Man,
Tool is like a modern day Pink Floyd.
That's some trippy music, then.
Actually, Tool's even kind of old now.
That's some fucking trippy music.
Super trippy shit, man.
Hello.
I took a little something one time,
anybody?
and I was listening to Uma Guma's first album, and that was when they still had Sid Barrett, the lead singer Sid Barrett, who was paranoid schizophrenic. Like, he was legit.
I thought he was the guitar player.
No, he was the lead singer, and eventually he went nuts. Right? He only did 2 albums, I think, with them.
Yeah, and he locked himself in his cottage,
cottage,
and started to paint or something, didn't he?
I don't remember the story, but I know that they had to leave him behind.
Too much acid, I think, was it?
Yeah, but it was the Uma Guma album I was listening to one time.
Really?
And all these animals started laughing, and I must have been like 15. I was living on a farmhouse. I kicked open my front door and took off running across this field in dead winter with snow everywhere and climbed up a tree and hid up in this tree waiting for my mom to come home, afraid I was going to get caught. And just like fucking terrified. I was terrified, dude.
Holy hell.
You got to hear this part in Uma Guma where all these animals just start laughing. And you're like, what the fuck's going on, man? And you just run.
They were taking some good shit back then, huh?
No shit. Oh, my God, man.
Yeah. Some people didn't make it out alive. I noticed you just took a big spoonful of something there, Yank.
Weird looking shit, right?
What is it?
It was like, it's called Kratom.
Kratom?
Kratom. You ever heard of it?
Is that what Superman used to snort before he fucking changed
put on his underpants? Kratom is the opposite of kryptonite. Okay. And if you're fighting somebody like real dangerous like glucagon, you must have some kratom in the system.
What's kratom? What the hell is it? What's kratom?
Kratom is a cousin of coffee. It grows on a plant, and that plant is a cousin of coffee. This plant grows commonly in countries like Thailand and Indonesia. And in small doses, it acts like a stimulant. I've heard in large doses it acts like an opiate, but I've never really felt that. So like I said, it's like coffee. It's like caffeine, but it affects your opiate receptors. So if there was somebody trying to get off heroin, this would be a really good way to do it because it could remove the withdrawal symptoms. And one of the worst side effects of heroin opiate withdrawal is lethargy, not having energy and stuff like this. So this can like help you with opiate withdrawal and give you an energy boost. And if you're not doing either one of those things, it's just a nice little pick-me-up and can also be a slight painkiller.
Where can you get this? Where can you buy it?
Well, it's currently illegal in Taiwan. This is actually, I got this before they banned it in Taiwan.
Okay, all right.
And my buddy had it, and he's like, hey, I'm like, you still have that from like 4 years ago? Let me get some.
Man, I noticed you just took a big spoonful of it too.
Yeah.
Like powder. It looks like a yellow.
It looks like
powder.
matcha powder, right? And it tastes like ass. It tastes like baby diaper ass. You know, sometimes at work I slip into it. Baby diaper ass.
Oh my God. I don't envy your work, Yank. I don't envy your work.
All right, cool. So, little biohack for the day. If you're having problems with lethargy, if you're having a lot of fucking physical pain because you have an ailment or something like that, in the U.S., it depends. It changes state by state, but in some states it's legal and in some states it's not. But if you're trying to kick or you know someone who needs to kick or you're having some physical pain, give Kratom a shout-out.
Big shout-out to Kratom.
And then send us $5 on Patreon for the advice.
Fucking right. So, Yank, did you recognize the song I was singing at the start of the podcast today? You know I start the podcast with a tune.
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. Do you know why I was singing a Jimi Hendrix song today?
Because you've been listening to him.
No, I haven't been listening to Jimi Hendrix, but I've been doing research. And today's podcast topic is the infamous 27 Club.
Oh, snap-a-daddy-doodle.
Oh, yeah. So, do you know what the 27 Club is?
Club of 27 virgins.
Maybe if you're Muslim, yeah.
No.
The 27 Club, what it is, it's a list consisting mostly of popular musicians, artists, or even actors who all died at the age of 27. Now, scientists have done studies, and statistics show that 56 is actually the age with the highest celebrity death rate and not 27. But why is there such a lore around the age 27, and why is it so famous? And the reason is because some of the greatest musicians that we have known, some of the biggest innovators in music, have all died at the age of 27. Let me start from the most modern now, and I'll go backwards. So
Please.
one of the most modern in terms of music to die at the age of 27 was Amy Winehouse. England's Amy Winehouse. And out of the 27 club, she's the only one that I ever got to see live in concert. So I got to see Amy Winehouse live in concert in Ireland at a festival called Oxygen. And it was not long before she died. I think it was 3 months before she died or whatever like that. But she died at the age of 27. She was a troubled girl, but I think her troubled and her dark life is what brought out her best music. Like her album Back to Black, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken,
That was AC/DC, man. Back to Black?
Back in Black was AC/DC. Back to Black was Amy Winehouse.
Oh.
You don't talk to me about music, boy! So that album, it was bred from her breakup with one of her boyfriends and her drug use and her alcoholism, and then she came out and released Back to Black, a fucking fantastic album.
I was talking to a buddy about that, how like a lot of times the best things come from suffering.
Yeah,
you know? That
very
is like
true.
the best growth tool.
Very true. So her album Back to Black, phenomenal. Broke tons of records, and she died at the age of 27 in her home in Camden in London. Her bodyguard found her, and she died from alcohol poisoning. And Amy Winehouse was afraid that she would be in the 27 club. She expressed many times that she feared she was going to be part of the 27 club.
That makes me think
she was going to die at the age of 27.
That makes me think about Snoop Dogg. Okay. Snoop Dogg said that everybody around him was rapping about death in prison and stuff, and he realized that because they all started dying. And he's like, "Fuck that! I don't want to die." So he stopped rapping about shit like that.
Well, that's it. I mean, if it's in your subconscious, I mean, plus it's the lifestyle these people live. So Amy Winehouse, I think it was 2011 when she died. So that was the most significant one in modern day history.
Yeah.
Before that, it was Kurt Cobain, the lead singer of Nirvana. He died in 1994 in his Seattle, Washington home, and
great birthday he has, same as Patty Hearst.
April 4th,
February 20th.
He died on April 4th. Sorry, or he was found on April 4th. Now the thing is, Kurt Cobain's death is what actually sparked the myth of the 27 Club. Now, before that, there's a ton of people that died before Kurt Cobain that I'm going to get into, but it was his death that sparked this 27 thing, like, is a thing, like, you know what I mean? Look at Kurt Cobain, he, like, the most famous musician of the 90s, arguably, dead at 27. Supposedly shot himself in the head in his his house, but there's a lot of conflicting reports out there regarding that, and like
it's a little bit like
Courtney
O.J.
Love.
Simpson, isn't it? Come on, like the glove didn't fit, but we know he killed.
There you go. I mean, so when Kurt Cobain died at 27, I think his mother or somebody said in an interview, "Oh, I was always hoping he wouldn't become part of that club." And
Kurt Cobain's mom said that?
Yes,
Okay.
I think it was her. But she might have been talking about his uncles, because 2 or 3 of his uncles had committed suicide as well. So people think
Ran
that
in the family, huh? Depression.
Yes, she might have meant that, whereas the general public thought that she was on about the 27 Club. So after Kurt Cobain's death, that's when people started saying the 27 Club. It's the curse of people that are famous rock stars. So where this all basically started from and originated from was the blues musician Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson is most famous for supposedly
That's my research.
supposedly selling his soul at the crossroads to the devil, right?
That's mine.
So
Give it back. Give it back.
Okay, give me the Robert Johnson. Give me Robert Johnson.
Well, yeah, I couldn't find a lot to contribute, but that's one of the things I found. So, and then I found a documentary about him on Netflix, and so I watched some of it. Yeah. But it was pretty interesting. He was like a really bad guitar player, so much so they didn't even want him coming in and playing.
This is back in the 1930s, right?
Yeah, he died in 1938.
Okay.
1938. This was back in the day in Mississippi, in the deep South. And he was really bad at guitar, and he disappeared for like 1 year. And came back, and they were like, "That's little Robbie. That's little Robert." And he's like, "Can I play?" And they're like, "No." He's like, "Come on, just let me one time." And he goes up there and just fucking kills it. And they're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Nobody can become that good in 1 year.
Yeah.
And so I guess the idea of the crossroads actually originated in Africa. And it's like an African myth. Like the crossroads is a symbol of like the place where the devil can be omnipresent.
Okay.
And so everybody just found it like totally unbelievable that he could have become that good that fast. And in a couple songs he makes references to the devil.
Yes.
And so I don't even think there's any actual pictures of Robert Johnson.
There's one picture of Robert Johnson. Only one.
And they say the devil he met was a large black man. They also say that, according to legend.
Man. So people came out with the myth back then that Robert Johnson had sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah, it's called the Legend of Faust. Faust.
Okay.
That's where it's called the Legend of Faust. In folklore, crossroads may represent a location between the worlds, and as such, a site where supernatural spirits can be contacted and paranormal events can take place. Symbolically, it can mean a locality where two realms touch and therefore represent liminality, a place literally neither here nor there, betwixt and between. Which is kind of cool. I think about that when I think of the sunrise. I think the sunrise, that time, dawn, is also like a crossroads.
Huh.
Because I've seen, I feel like
you mentioned that in the last podcast.
I feel like I've contacted my dead friends during that time, but I can only do it at that time.
That's very interesting.
In Greek mythology, crossroads were associated with both Hecate and Hermes, with shrines and ceremonies for both taking place there. The Herm pillar associated with Hermes frequently marked these places due to the god's association with travelers and role as a guide. And Hecate, he was another Greek god.
Yeah.
He had a connection to crossroads, but it was more cemented in ritual. When you wanted to leave stuff for the god Hecate, you would leave the gifts for that god at the crossroads on each new moon.
Huh.
And they actually called Hecate, it's a goddess, the goddess of the crossroads.
Man,
and she was depicted as having 3 heads or bodies, which is often associated with one of the 3 crossing roads.
Man, 3 heads? What did you say there? 3 heads?
She's in her later threefold depictions, each of the 3 heads that she had, or 3 bodies, are associated with 3 crossing roads.
I've known plenty of girls with 3 faces, but...
Tell me about it.
So Robert Johnson, he is one of the original members. He is the original member of the 27 Club.
He's the OG 27.
OG. Died at the age of 27. But you know what? What ties everybody in the 27 Club together is that behind most of their deaths, there's suspicion. There's a lot of unanswered questions behind most of the members of the 27 Club's deaths, and I'll get into that right now in a second. Robert Johnson died sitting in a bar, I think. He drank something. I think he drank a...
When I looked it up, it said death unknown.
He drank a drink in the bar, and a few minutes later or a while later, he collapsed and died.
No shit.
And people think he was poisoned.
Really?
Yeah. So
I did not come across that.
Yeah, people think that Robert Johnson was poisoned. So
That's not on the Wikipedia page.
After Robert Johnson came Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones. Brian Jones was an original founding member of the Rolling Stones.
Didn't know that.
And then what happened is that through his drug use and them starting to spiral a bit out of control, like certain songs like Under My Thumb, like he was a multi-instrumentalist, Brian Jones, and he added so much to the Rolling Stones. But Keith Richards and Mick Jagger were the main, songwriters, the lyricists, and the people that were basically composing the music. But Brian Jones had a huge part to play in the Rolling Stones. And Keith and Mick basically pushed him out. They basically got rid of him, right? So when Brian Jones was gone from the Rolling Stones, I think it was about 2 or 3 months later, he was found dead at the bottom of a swimming pool.
Holy shit.
Dead at the bottom of a swimming pool. And again, there's speculation. His girlfriend said that she found him, and she said that when she pulled him to the surface, he still had a pulse. Some people speculate that his assistant or his groundskeeper, whoever it was, they weren't supposed to have got on very well, and some people think that his assistant in fact drowned him in the pool. So there's that speculation, right? So Brian Jones, here's what kind of adds the mystique to this whole 27 Club. Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones, he dies in 1969. Then comes Janis Joplin. Janis Joplin, I think, died in 1970. Heroin overdose. Then Jimi Hendrix comes along. I think he was also 1970. A few months later. I can't remember if Joplin was first or Hendrix was first.
You should know this.
I researched it, but I don't remember. So Hendrix dies then, right? He died in bed, supposedly choked on his own vomit. And also supposedly had taken 9 sleeping pills the day before. His girlfriend believes that he was killed. She believes there was foul play involved in Jimi Hendrix's death. And then after Jimi Hendrix, in 1971, it was Jim Morrison from The Doors. And again, there's a lot of mystique and mystery around the death of Jim Morrison in The Doors. Now, a lot of people say, well, the reason a lot of these people died at 27 is because they lived crazy lifestyles. You know what I mean? They were rock and roll stars. They were taking lots of drugs. They were drinking heavily. You know, their chances of dying at a younger age is much higher than ours because, you know what I mean? They've got access to all this stuff. Now, something interesting that I found out about Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, and possibly Brian Jones is that they are all connected to the same heroin dealer. The same heroin dealer supplied Janis Joplin with the lethal dose that she took that killed her, and also supplied Jim Morrison with the dose of heroin that killed him.
So, in the movie, The Doors, he's on an airplane, and he starts asking this one dude for heroin, and the guy is like, nah, and Jim Morrison's like, come on, I really want it, I really want it, and I think he ends up giving it to him. I wonder if that character is the character you're talking about.
Jim Morrison...
He was in The Crow.
Jim Morrison wasn't a heroin user. Jim Morrison...
In the movie, they portrayed him as one.
Jim Morrison despised heroin. So according to the people around Jim Morrison, according to Jim Morrison's friends, all the reports, Jim Morrison wasn't a heroin. He never took heroin.
Really?
Jim Morrison never took heroin.
Jim Morrison inaccurate.
Jim Morrison took acid. He was into weed. He was into mushrooms, into psychedelics, all that kind of stuff. He didn't take heroin. His girlfriend, I think her name was Pamela Corson. She was big into heroin, and Pamela Corson was she was kind of, they had like an open relationship, right? Jim Morrison, I mean, fuck, he's Jim Morrison.
We should talk about that
sometime. Of course, right? He's not just going to have one woman. He's Jim Morrison. He can have anyone he wants. Okay, so let's get into Jim Morrison's death a little bit, right? So Jim Morrison was found dead in a bathtub in France, in Paris, right? By his then girlfriend Pamela Corson, right? Now, supposedly he went in for a bath in the middle of the night, closed the door, and never came back out again. In 2007, the owner of a club in France came out with a book and said, Jim Morrison died in my club in Paris, in the bathroom, and was brought back to the apartment and placed in a warm bathtub full of water so that the time of his death wouldn't be able to be determined because his body would have still been warm. Now, this all connects to this dealer, this French aristocratic dealer who came from a very, very, very wealthy family. This guy was supposed to be a pure scumbag, and this guy would eventually go on to die of a heroin overdose himself.
Whoa.
In Mauritius, I think, at the age of 22.
Whoa. 22?
20 fucking 2.
Whoa. So this dude was hooking them up when 22. He was like 20?
His name was Jean de Bretiel.
His name was Jean de Bretiel.
John de Bretiel. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Or Count.
How do you spell it? Is it G-E-A-N?
J-E-A-N.
J-E-A-N.
Then
Jean.
Then D-E. Then Bretiel. Again, he's a mysterious character. He comes up in a lot of books and memoirs written from that time, the 60s and 70s. His name comes up quite a bit, but there's not that much information on him. Now,
I bet they'll eventually do a Netflix special about him, you know?
Well, they probably will. Well,
as a result of this podcast.
Okay, so he was bringing heroin from Morocco to Europe, okay? And he was supplying the Rolling Stones with it. Like, Keith Richards let this guy live in his London apartment, let him just run his stuff out of his London apartment, because he was hooking them all up with heroin, right? Then he went to America, he went to LA, and he started hooking people up like Janis Joplin. Janis Joplin's friends, two of Janis Joplin's friends OD'd 2 days before her, I think it was, on the heroin that this guy had supplied.
Really?
This guy gave her the heroin, and she took it, and she dead. Done. 20 people the same week died from this guy's heroin.
It sounds like fentanyl.
I don't know. It was just too pure. It was super pure. It wasn't.
That's a great way to kill people, man.
Wasn't cut down with anything at all, so they weren't able to handle it. So this guy goes over there. 20 people die as a direct result of his heroin. One of them being Janis Joplin, the singer Janis Joplin. So then he heads back and he's still shipping heroin from Morocco. And now Jim Morrison has finished recording his last album with The Doors, L.A. Woman. Fucking phenomenal album. One of my favorite Doors albums.
Tell me about it.
And he goes to Paris with his girlfriend Pamela Corson, right? They're hanging around Paris. Jim Morrison's got an alcohol problem at the time. You know, he's drinking heavily and stuff like that, but he doesn't touch heroin. Pamela Corson does. She's a heroin addict. And this woman called Marianne Faithfull, she just come out in the last few years. She's the only one that's left out of all these people. Pamela Corson died of a heroin overdose. Jim Morrison's dead. Hendrix is dead. Brian Jones dead. Janis Joplin's dead. And this Bretiel, this French count that was supplying all the heroin, he's dead. But this Marianne Faithfull is one of the only ones that's left that was there for all of this. And what she said is that at the time, that John Braithiel, the heroin dealer, was her boyfriend. Okay? Now, she was famous because she was the ex-girlfriend of Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones.
Holy shit, wow.
Yep. She was with John Braithiel on this particular day, right? And he was going to meet Jim Morrison and give him heroin. And this Marian Faithfull said she just had a bad feeling about it. She said in her memoir or her interview that she'd done, she said, I think she'd done an interview with Mojo, and she said, this guy was a pure scumbag. Like, he was just the lowest of the low.
Boyfriend?
Yeah, he was the lowest low, but...
So he must have been a sociopath that had manipulated
He had
her.
huge connections. He was in with all the rock stars. Man, he knows Jim Morrison. He knows all these people like that.
Right.
So, of course, she's going to want to be with him. And she said it was purely to do with drugs and sex, why she was with him. So he was also banging Jim Morrison's girl, Pamela Corson. So, you know what I mean? Back then, it's the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
Everybody's fucking around with everybody. So, this day, she said he went and he killed Jim Morrison. That's what she said in her interview. She said he went and he killed Jim Morrison. So what supposedly happened is that he went and he met Jim Morrison at this club, and Jim Morrison was picking up the heroin for Pamela Corson, his girlfriend, because Jim Morrison didn't take heroin. And this Jean Brautiel, whatever, already known that his heroin has killed Janis Joplin and 20 other people in LA, he gives Jim Morrison the heroin in this club in France. And the guy who runs the club, who owned the club, wrote this in his book. This dude comes in, gives Jim Morrison the heroin. Jim Morrison goes to the bathroom, and however long it is later, the owner of the club goes to the bathroom, and he can't get into the stall. And when he eventually gets into the stall, Jim Morrison is curled over with his head between his legs, white fluid coming out of his mouth and out of his nose, and he's clearly dead. Like, he's 100% dead. So what they theorize is that Jim Morrison had never taken heroin before, and when he got this, he decided for whatever reason to fucking try it. He's never tried heroin before, and this stuff is super fucking pure. So he died in the bathroom, and when the owner found him, almost immediately, two of this heroin dealer's cronies, his henchmen, came along straight away and said, we're going to take care of this. And the club owner was like, what the fuck? And they took Jim Morrison from that club, brought him back to his apartment that he shared with Pamela Corson, and put him in a warm bathtub. Like I said again, so that his body temperature would go up and they wouldn't be able to tell what his time of death was, and they could say that he died at home in the bath. So the French never carried out an autopsy on Jim Morrison because they said there was no foul play. Suspected.
That's twisted, man.
No suspected foul play. Now, if he was found dead in the club in Paris, of course they would have done an autopsy on him. So the next day, I think it was the next day, he was already buried. I think they buried Jim Morrison the day after he fucking died. Only one person from America seen his body. Only one person went over to see his body. So they never done a toxicology report to see what was in his system. Supposedly that Jean Brautier had came to the house. Pamela Corson called him, and he came to the house where Jim Morrison was dead. And of course they come up with a story. He died in the bathtub. This is what happened. Blah 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 blah. And they come out, and then he fled the country. That Jean Brautier, whatever, fled the country after Jim Morrison's death.
Dude, it's just bad business. Like, I have a strong history with heroin and opiates, and it's like, you don't want to sell shit that kills your customers because everything, you want it to be sustainable, right? And that's why the fentanyl epidemic is retarded in America. It's like, one hit of fentanyl, and you just fucking die.
That's crazy,
if people are thinking it's heroin, they're expecting heroin, and then they get a shot of fentanyl, they die. So many people die. That's crazy, the story you kind of told, because I had a buddy who wasn't really into heroin. But one time he wanted to get high, and he called me, and I was dope sick at the time, and I didn't want to hang out, so he went to get high by himself. And he shot up some dope, and it killed him. Because he didn't know what he was doing, and he just tried to jump in with no experience.
If it's too strong or too pure?
Well, just heroin is a really, like, if me and you each shot, like, a small, like, a $30 worth right now, we'd probably both overdose and die.
Of course.
It's that strong of a substance.
Yep.
You know?
So that's the connection between Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones.
I didn't know about this Brian Jones character.
Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison, is that the same dealer was dealing to all three of these people, and they all died under suspicious circumstances and at the age of 27. And all within the space of 3 years. Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Brian Jones, and Jim Morrison, like three icons, absolute icons of music.
Are you suggesting that this was like the action of the CIA?
No, not at all.
Like with JFK, they had Lee Harvey Oswald, who apparently hired Jack Ruby, who worked for the mafia, who killed them. And if you think about it, like, the last thing the CIA wants are, like, people causing huge cultural change and transformation. In the 1960s, do you think the government was super happy?
Well, I
Man,
mean,
fucking everybody's taking acid. They don't want us to go to Vietnam.
They're
They don't
very
want us to
outspoken.
fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're very
like, this is
outspoken.
not good. I mean, they killed Martin Luther King Jr., right? They
Yeah.
kill people who speak out and speak against mainstream authorities, right? They always kill them.
Very true.
How many people have really survived
Yeah.
that spoke out like that?
Very true.
You know?
They've almost all been taken out.
Almost all of them. Anybody that tries, I'm surprised they haven't killed Bernie Sanders yet. You know what I mean?
Well, he's going to
'cause
die of natural causes pretty
He
soon,
stands
probably.
for truth.
Yep.
People that stand for truth are assassinated by the CIA.
Yeah.
Truth is not sustainable. It doesn't work for government.
There was even myths and like conspiracies around Bob Marley's death. Somebody came forward and said that they presented Bob Marley with a pair of shoes, and when he put the shoe on, he got poked in the toe, in the big toe, with some kind of a needle, and they say that in the needle, I mean Bob Marley died of fucking cancer, toe cancer, right? He got it in his toe, and he wouldn't allow them to amputate his toe because of his Rastafarian religious beliefs. So Bob Marley could have survived. They could have just cut Bob Marley's toe off.
Really?
They could have just amputated.
How much do you really need all your toes?
They could have just but he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
That just shows you the belief that's what makes people like that real. That's what
Right.
makes fucking Bob
What
Marley
would
an
it take to
absolute
make you
iconic,
sacrifice your beliefs?
an iconic legend. Like
I watched
Bob
that
Marley.
doc about Bob on Netflix recently, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I didn't know he was such a social activist. Like the country,
Listen to his music.
there was like a presidential election, and he wouldn't take a side, right?
And he got shot before that presidential
and he got
election.
shot before, and then he did a concert where he was trying to bring people together.
While
and
he
then-
came out of the hospital with 2 bullet holes in him and
Yeah.
still went to it. And they're like, Bob, you're crazy. Don't go there. They'll try and kill you
But
again.
one of the presidents did their something like 2 days after that concert.
Yeah.
And so everybody assumed Bob Marley was a supporter of that person.
Mm.
But the reason he got shot, right, was political. People thought he had political affiliations, but
Yeah.
really he didn't. And he was staying in sort of like a flop house.
Well, it
And
was
people shot up the flop house.
Hope Road. It was Bob Marley's home. In,
Okay,
in Jamaica.
but it's like it was like many people lived there, right? It was almost like a party
It's
house.
Bob Marley. It's look at Graceland, Elvis in Graceland. I mean, he
Well, no.
he had loads of cronies there. Everybody was hanging out.
Yeah.
There wasn't lowlives or
What I mean is
people
like
that hanging
he
out.
didn't have like his own mansion or his own house. He lived in a house where like many people were living
Because
there.
that's the way he was. Like that's
cool. It's
yeah,
awesome.
Exactly. He's still living in Jamaica, staying true to his roots. You know what I mean? And gunmen burst in the front door. They shot. I think his Rita Marley, which is his wife. I think she got hit with a bullet. I think one of the 2 other.
There was
people
a
got
guy
hit
in
with a bullet.
front of Bob that got hit, and then Bob got hit.
He got hit twice. He got hit in the arm, I think, and he got hit in the stomach.
They
There's
show a
pictures
picture of
of
him,
him
and he's
in
like
the,
angry.
in the hospital. Yeah, and he's standing in the hospital with like bullet holes in him. But
And after that, he kind of gave up on Jamaica and left and traveled the world, right?
Yes.
And that was like the peak of his career.
Yep.
And then he came back to try to reunite the country. Like
Mm.
he was like almost like a politician. Like he had the power of a politician.
just like Tupac.
He had the power of a politician.
Yep.
And once again, shit like that don't fly
Yeah.
with the government. The
Yeah.
government doesn't want a pop star having more control than a politician.
But they have the mind of a revolutionary.
Totally, I agree, 100%.
They have the minds of the revolutionary, and that's what makes them a threat. The same
Right.
with like Tupac. Tupac was a fucking revolutionary. He had the mind of a revolutionary. He wanted to change things for the better. You know, and that's his vision, just like Bob Marley was. The politicians, the people that are in power now, they don't give a fuck. Like Trump or these people, they have a different agenda. Their agenda is not for the people.
They do give a fuck.
They have an
Oh, you mean they
agenda.
don't give a fuck about the people?
Yes, they
They
don't
give
have,
a fuck about revolutionaries.
Yeah. They have an agenda. People like Bob Marley and Tupac and people like that, they had a revolutionary's mind, meaning like, you know.
Okay, I like what you said there. Politicians have an agenda. These people we're talking about, they had a revolutionary
Mind.
mind. You're
Mindset.
right, because I thought
Che
you
Guevara.
were going to say agenda, right? But Bob Marley didn't have an agenda. He had a vision, a
Yes.
revolutionary vision. And a lot of these people did. But then, like, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and Janis Joplin, were they speaking? I guess they were, right? Were they speaking out against the Vietnam War, or were they just psychedelic hippies?
Yeah, a bit of both. I mean, they were definitely speaking out against the war, you know, of course, but like they weren't. Let's say they weren't so.
Bob Marley was way more social
10
change.
times more.
Yeah.
Same with Tupac, 10 times more. But
Tupac, I don't think a lot of people perceive him that way. Just you.
look, just me, man. Then you know nothing about Tupac Shakur.
That's fine.
If you sat there and just said that comment to me, watch Tupac talking at the universities in America about
Yeah.
change and about, oh man, this guy, Black Lives Matter now. They're all talking about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah,
Listen to Tupac talking
the
back
change,
in the day.
I mean, I don't know. I guess
Unreal.
when I was little and he first came out, I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, gangsters. I've said this before. Gangster. To me, he was just a symbol of gangster.
Highly intelligent and articulate person.
Yeah.
Tupac Shakur.
I know
Unreal.
you love him. I love him too. Who am I kidding?
For the
Who am
way
I
he
kidding?
talked, for his mindset, for his revolutionary mindset. You know what I mean? He came from the Black Panthers.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty
yeah,
cool.
but anyways, supposedly there was a conspiracy behind Bob Marley's death, like there is behind all these people that die, Bruce Lee's death, and it was that a CIA member had given him undercover a pair of shoes, like Adidas shoes over that. And when Bob put the shoes on at some stage,
Adidas.
he got pricked in the big toe, and that eventually led him to getting cancer. But he had a problem with that big toe many times. I think he'd lost the nail on it a few times.
Who doesn't?
And yeah, I lost the nail on my big toe on my right foot twice.
Yeah.
So it's great. I was like, oh my God, I got the Bob Marley curse.
I got the Bob toe.
He went for and then Bob went to, I think it was Germany, for some kind of unorthodox cancer treatment, herbal treatment and all this kind of stuff. And it wasn't working. His health deteriorated. He lost all his hair. Then they tried to fly him back. He tried to, I think, was either get flown back to Jamaica to die, but they ended up having to stop the plane, and he died somewhere else.
I got something for you. When I was growing up in my hometown, my guitar teacher was a stone cold hippie, and he started playing with this dude named Fuzzy. Fuzzy was an old black Caribbean, and he actually knew Bob Marley, and he played for me some of Bob Marley's very last recordings, and his voice was like super raspy.
Damn.
You could tell he was dying, and this dude Fuzzy had run with Marley before, and he was real cool. It was like the first foreigner I'd ever met in my life, you know what I mean? And I was like, whoa, a real Rasta, this is wild.
I think there's only one of the Wailers left, Bunny Wailer. I think he's the only original member of the Bob Marley and the Wailers.
I've been listening to Stephen and Peter, or wait, I'm sorry, Stephen and
Damien?
Damien? There's another one too, right?
You've seen Damien Marley.
I saw I went to Rock the Bells in California in 2000 and... God, that's hard to pinpoint. What year is it now? 2022?
2022, yeah.
It must have been 2010, 2011. Nas and Damian Marley, they headlined.
2006, I seen Damian Marley and I passed out after one song. All I remember is I'm in this fucking massive marquee. Damian Marley hits the stage. There's fucking people waving Jamaican flags. There's 20 people on the stage with him. I was like, oh man, I was so fucked. I was with this guy and we're like, let's just kind of lie on the grass here and chill for a minute. I wake up and there's people walking over me and I'm like, what the fuck? And they're clearing the stage. I seen half of Damian Marley's song.
Oh,
I was out cold. So it's kind of crazy. But
the coolest thing about that weekend, the Rock the Bells is like a big hip hop festival, was actually one of the smaller shows because they had several stages, and Wu-Tang was there, and ODB's son was performing ODB's songs and had his hair done like ODB, and at the time this kid was only 17, and he was spraying bottles of champagne all over the crowd while he was rapping, and that was such a memorable memory.
So for anybody that doesn't know, ODB was Old Dirty Bastard from Wu-Tang.
I want to get an ODB tattoo.
He died pretty young as well, didn't he?
I bet he died before 27.
Well, on the topic of the 27 Club, after Kurt Cobain's death, at first it was strictly musicians that were in the 27 Club, but then other people like this actor Anton Yelchin. Do you remember the movie Alpha Dog?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the young kid that they kidnapped in the movie?
Oh yeah.
This is Anton Yelchin. He was also in Star Trek, I think. He played somebody in Star Trek, and then the newer movies of Star Trek that they rebooted. And he died at the age of 27 as well. I think his car pinned him between a wall, so he got ran over by his own car or something like that. So Anton Yelchin, he died at 27, but also there was a famous artist,
Stephen McCurnell,
the neo-impressionist and graffiti artist who achieved fame that few artists do, died at the age of 27 from a heroin overdose in fucking New York. And his name was Jean-Michel Basquiat. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Probably not.
Died at 27 from a heroin overdose.
Wow.
But as I said, the whole 27 Club, it's a myth. But it's just...
I always assumed I'd die by 27. In my early 20s when I'm following the dead, going to hippie festivals, I'm like, no way. There's no way I'll make it past 27. And then when I didn't die, I'm like, fuck, what do I do now? I wasn't planning on still being... I have to come up with a plan? Shit.
Man, I was in a band for 7 years. I was the front man of a band for 7 years. We were playing a lot of shows, and I was thinking... if we make it, am I going to go down that road? If I was back then, I would have been at
18, that age, how do you
19,
not?
Back then at 18 and 19, you give me fame,
right?
You give me
drugs
money,
and sex.
you
Let's
give me
go.
Man, you're going to indulge in it all.
How can you not do it?
It's a slippery slope, It's look at the dude, another guy, Mac Miller, the rapper Mac Miller.
Oh yeah. I didn't like him until after he died.
He died at 26.
Really?
A few months before the 27 Club.
Wow.
And he referenced dying at a young age, and not only that, he said in one of his songs, "Don't give me that shit that's cut with fentanyl. Don't give me the blah blah blah, or I won't be around long." And he died from taking something that was cut with fucking fentanyl.
Paddy, that goes back to the whole Snoop Dogg thing.
Yep.
And what that really is the law of attraction, man. And I use it on a daily basis, and it is a very real thing. And if you start writing songs about dying and death and prison and stuff, you are inviting that into your life. You really are, man. Like, everything you do, like, you invite, whatever you focus on, you invite into your life. And they were inviting it. You're focusing on it. When you focus on it, you're fueling it, right? You're giving it more power. Yeah. And then it's going to play a larger role in your life.
I mean, it's fucked up. Like, a lot of these people died because of other people. I mean, okay, it was their decision to take the drugs, but it's like, you gave me poison. You know what I mean? Like, if you gave me decent stuff or proper stuff, I probably wouldn't be dead right now. You know what I mean? Someone said about Jim Morrison, like, the same thing, like why he decided to and again, this is all up for speculation. There's no certain.
But if you have no tolerance and you suddenly just do like a line of really good heroin,
there you go,
dude,
man.
It's lights out, man. It's lights out.
I have a question for you. So out of the 27 Club that I've just mentioned, Robert Johnson, the blues musician, Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, and Amy Winehouse. If you could choose to see one of those live in concert at the peak of their careers, who would you choose to see? I told you I seen Amy
Jim
Winehouse.
Morrison.
Jim Morrison.
For sure.
I'm with you on that.
It was tight. That would be between Jim Morrison and Kurt Cobain. When I was a teenager,
touché.
When I was a teenager, I identified with both of them.
Okay.
A lot, and I have the same birthday as Kurt Cobain. But like the double disc Doors set, I listened to it on repeat for years. I listened to Nirvana on repeat for years. I was like, they are me. I am them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just had this really strong sense of identification with them. But I think Jim Morrison would be more pivotal to me. For me, I think I identified with him a little bit more than I identified with Kurt Cobain. And I think his stage performance was amazing. And I think Kurt Cobain's was too.
Oh, hey.
I think his was too. But I think I would get more out of control at a Jim Morrison concert, at a Doors concert, because their music, it's like you were talking about, who were you listening to? It was the Doors, right?
Doors,
and we were talking about Alice Cooper and the Doors, right? And I was like, the Doors are artists. Alice Cooper was a songwriter. He wrote hits. Great, I love your hits. Yeah. But the Doors were like artists. So we listened to The End yesterday when we were playing chess, and that song is like, you know, like Pink Floyd and Tool. It's a development with a climax and then a come down. So like to see stuff like that live is it's an experience. It's an auditory experience, journey.
It'd almost be spiritual, I think. And I'm not.
I think
spiritual.
so too.
I'm not really into any of that, but it's funny that you answered that, because I asked myself this question when I was doing the research for this 27 Club podcast. I was like, okay, out of everybody, you know, all these musicians, and we've only named a few. We've only named some of the top ones. There's many more in this club.
I still have a little something.
But okay, cool. I asked myself the same question. Out of all these people, who would I most like to have seen at their prime? And it was straight away. It was between Jim Morrison and the Doors and Nirvana and Kurt Cobain. And I was like, oh, who would it be? And I was trying to picture back, and it was like, okay, if I could pick a specific concert, I would pick Nirvana's Unplugged all day long. I would pick that over going to see the Doors. I'd have to. But if it was just...
But then I would start thinking about Alice in Chains.
But if you just get to it... But they didn't die at 27. Specifically 27 Club. So if it wasn't that and you could just see them at their peak, because that necessarily wasn't Nirvana at their peak, right?
Yeah.
Nirvana at their peak probably was Reading in England or whatever. Then I was like, right, I think I'd have to pick the Doors because of just seeing Jim Morrison up there, like, you know, I don't know. So
I'd almost say
say
Janis Joplin, but I really don't think bitches have any place being on a stage. They just stay in the kitchen where they belong.
And you tell me that I'm not politically correct. Damn. So that's it.
It's a joke, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a joke. Don't take it personally. So that's it. That's everything I've got to say on the 27 Club. It's a pretty fascinating little thing, but more celebrities die at the age of 56, 25 than they do at the age of 27. But
that is interesting.
But just some of the greatest were taken at 27.
Cool.
What you got?
May I go on?
Hit me.
As you know, I am a deadhead. Okay, so cool. So I was looking around and I found out that Pigpen died at 27.
You're going to have to tell us who Pigpen is.
Yeah, there's a poster out in the living room. He's out there. He was one of the drummers for the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Jesus Christ. Shame on you. He was a keyboard player. And the funny thing about the Dead is they have had 4 keyboard players die. So they call it like the keyboard curse. Everybody that plays keyboard eventually dies in the Dead. Mm-hmm. So Pigpen his real name is Ron McKerman.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a dear friend named Pigpen who also died from heroin. But he was the founding keyboardist. He died of gastrointestinal hemorrhage associated with alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
The band had 5 different keyboard players. 4 of them died tragic deaths. And 3 of them died while they were still in the band. Okay, so Pigpen died in 1973 at the young age of 27. He had drank himself to death. This led the keyboard spot in the Grateful Dead being referred to as the hot seat. And some speculate that there might be some sort of curse attached to being the keyboard player in the Grateful Dead. And then after him, Keith Godchow died. He was also a keyboard player. He died in 1974 because of drugs. Yeah. You know, how can you be in the Grateful Dead and not develop a terrible drug problem? He developed a heroin habit and started using it to numb the anxiety that come from the Dead's crazy touring schedule, right? Started losing his creative edge, started nodding off during shows. Oh, my God. You know, I actually met his son.
Really?
I was pretty good friends with Keith Godchow's son. His son's name is Zion Godchow, and he's in a group called Boombox. One of the most far out, like, just, what's up, man? How you doing? Always wear sunglasses and, like, a white jumpsuit. And it's sort of like electronic jam music. Very cool. And then his mom is Donna Godchow. She was one of the backup singers for the Dead. So Keith Godchow was a keyboard player. Donna Godchow was a backup vocalist. Then when Zion grew up, he started his own group called Boombox that plays at hippie festivals. Okay. And then after that, they had Brent Milan. Brent Midland, he's my favorite. When you watch him jam on the song New Minglewood Blues, you can see his vein like popping out of his forehead. He gets so into it, man. He was my favorite. Just watching him like makes you want to dance. And he also struggled with drug abuse and depression that came in waves. And in the last 2 years, he kind of got clean. And then he died. He accidentally overdosed on a concoction of heroin and cocaine, a.k.a. Speedball.
Killed Lane Staley from Alice in Chains.
Yep. And then there was Vince Welnick that died in 1995 when Jerry Garcia died. Oh, and 6 months later, he was touring with Bob Weir and Rat Dog. I used to follow Bob and Rat Dog all the time. Okay. Bob Weir and Rat Dog is like a side spin-off of the Grateful Dead, and I used to watch him all the time. So he played with Bob Weir and Rat Dog. Attempted suicide on a tour bus. Got diagnosed with cancer and emphysema, and then had struggled with depression after the death of Jerry, because Jerry Garcia died in 1995. And then 10 years later, so he didn't die while he was in the band, he was still battling depression, and he was found at home of an apparent suicide.
Damn.
It's crazy, right? You hear the Grateful Dead, you're like, oh, happy hippies, you know? Yeah. Secretly, like, everybody's hooked on heroin.
Fuck, man.
Jerry, too. Jerry's got a pretty interesting story, but I wouldn't go into it right now because I don't want to get anything wrong.
Yeah.
I got one more. This dude also died at 27, and I wanted to bring it up just because I kind of identify with him.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un.
What?
Died in 2017, suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning. And I just always thought, you know, if I was going to go out, that would probably be the way. And I've always thought Kim Jong-un, he inspires.
No comment.
All right, this is not actually who you think it is. But when I wrote this down, I thought it was it's Kim Jong-un, but he's a South Korean like pop singer.
Really?
But I thought it was like a politician or something. No, it's just some pop singer.
So a South Korean K-pop singer.
Yeah, and he like struggled with depression and all that, but I guess he was a really big star, and he was the main vocalist for a band called Shine.
Okay.
And eventually killed himself.
At 27?
At 27. He died in 2017, killed himself.
Damn.
His name's Kim Jong-un. Like, how...
I heard the suicide rate is high in South Korea. And
I know it's high in Japan, right?
A lot of the times, too, amongst a lot of these K-poppers and stuff like that.
Really?
Because
that makes sense. Think about it.
Look, these K-poppers are not real fucking musicians and artists. I don't care what anybody says. It's
Whoa.
trash. It's trash.
Whoa.
Okay? Everybody we named in the 27 Club. Brian Jones, the founder of the fucking Rolling Stones. Janis Joplin. Amy Winehouse. Kurt Cobain. Jim Morrison. Jimi Hendrix. These are legendary, creative artists and musicians that make music from their soul. That's why a lot of times why they end up dying at that age. These K-pop people, they're made in a factory, okay, on a conveyor belt, just like anybody that's been on the X Factor, or anyone that's gonna do with Brian. What's his name? What's the guy from America's Got Talent or the X Factor?
Oh, fuck would I know?
I don't know, the fucking square head, the guy with the square head and the black hair. I don't remember his name. Simon Cowell.
The asshole.
Fuck you, Simon Cowell. There you go. Fuck you, Simon Cowell. These are all, you know what, they destroyed music. I think they destroyed music. Because what they're doing is they're just putting out these people and they're like, this is how you're going to dress. We're going to write a catchy 4-bar song that just gets stuck in people's head. We're going to play it on the radio. You're going to go out there. You got to act like a certain character. Smile. You know, he's the bad boy in the band. He's the cute guy in the band. He's the sensitive
like
one in the band.
NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
Just all that shit, man. It's not real. I can't bear that. I can't suffer that kind of music.
May I say one thing?
Go ahead.
I think it also has to do with Korean culture, not just Korean culture, but Asian culture. And I think Korea has one of the highest rates of plastic surgery in the whole world. And they have an obsession with being perfect to the point to where, like, I think a lot of the people all look the same. Yeah. And in Asia, there's just such a stress on being perfect, looking perfect, and there's
being the best in your class.
There's no way to be authentic when you're artificially perfect. You know?
That's a great
Obviously,
statement.
you are going to be crumbling on the inside, and it's an Asian phenomenon, unfortunately, you know? Like, I have scars, and I'm battered and beaten and stuff, and, like, I like that. I think that's what makes me an individual. But for Asians, they just want to be perfect, you know? Girls, guys, all of them alike. And when they're not, it makes them really depressed.
But on the note of Korea having the highest rates of plastic surgery, I have a Korean student, and she told me that in fact it's not the actual Koreans themselves that get the plastic surgery. It's people from China and different places that actually come to Korea and get plastic surgery, and that's why their rates are the highest in the world. Because I had this discussion with her before I asked her the question, and that's what she told me.
Yeah, I met a girl from Korea once, and I'm pretty sure she had the eye job done.
Oh, I'd say
the eye job's pretty common out here. What do they try? They try to make the top of the eyelid smaller.
Yeah,
they try to make the eyes wider.
Yeah, they try to make the eyes wider. They call
eye
it
opening surgery.
Like someone said to me here before, "Oh, you've got the double lids," and I was like, "What?
Yeah, listeners.
What the hell is the double lids?
I'm sure our listeners have no idea about this.
Okay, it's like your eyelids. Some people have drooping eyes where they're like their eyebrow kind of, you know, the skin here will droop down over their eyelids.
Yeah,
and then over here again they'll have the smaller eyes. Whereas I don't know. I just
have
eyes.
How do Asian girls define beautiful eyes?
Big.
Yeah,
and having that double lid, whatever you call it,
and that's why on the Instagram they'll use those filters to make their eyes big, because to them that is their definition of beauty, and every country has their own definition of beauty, right? And for Asians out here, they define beauty by having like big eyes. Like for us back in the U.S. where I come from, we define beauty mostly it's associated with dark skin. That's why everybody goes to the tanning bed, and sometimes a dumb Irish dude will go jump in a tanning bed until his skin turns pink. And he's a tard.
You know what? On that note, let's leave that podcast right here.
Don't get in a tanning bed.
Follow us on Instagram, Paddy and the Yank.
I love you guys. You're the best knowers I've ever had.
You know what? Please, if you like the podcast, please subscribe, leave some comments and feedbacks, like the podcast. All this helps us grow the podcast. We're going to be here. We ain't going anywhere.
Nope.
We ain't going nowhere.
Won't stop.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Today we're going to leave you with a song by Michele Antonia off her EP, and this is called, I think it's called Heaven Can't Wait. So it's kind of fitting to the 27 club. She's past the age of 27 from my knowledge, so I think she's safe there. Alright, peace out. This is Michele Antonia.
Stay strong. Stay strong, everybody.
Peace.
You look that way when your eyes would shine bright. The break of day, and with open arms you'd laugh and say, baby, you'll be mine on a wedding day. But me, I've been falling in and out of dreams, just lying by the river listening to the streams, looking for the beauty in this foreign place. Come back to me, baby, come back to me today. You've got something you can hold on to when it feels like the world is crashing down. My friend, I'm here beside you. You got reason to ride another line. You've got times ahead of you to climb. Today, let's just break through. We know that all is sweet when you're picking from the candy cry, but we laugh all the same. But me, I've been falling in and out of dreams, just lying by the river, listening to the streams, looking for the beauty in this foreign place. Come back to me, baby, come back to me today. You've got something you can hold on to when it feels like the world is crashing down. My friend, I'm here beside you. You've got reason to write another line. You've got times ahead of you to climb. Today, let's just break through. We know that all ain't sweet when you're picking from the candy tree, my dear, so put the bottle down. It's like rain